Welcome to Sales Talk for CEOs. I'm glad you're here. I'll be interviewing CEOs who have successfully scaled their B2B sales organization. In each episode, I'll start by uncovering the sales background of each CEO, dig into the strategies they use to build their sales organization, and wrap it up with what the future holds. We'll cover the good, the bad, and the ugly of scaling a sales organization. I'm your host, Alice Hyman. Welcome to Sales Talk for CEOs. I'm your host, Alice Hyman, and today I have with me Bronwyn Allen from High Profile Staffing. Welcome, Bronwyn.
Thanks so much, Alice. I really appreciate you having me on your show.
Well, I'm excited because you have a very interesting story to tell, and I know that our listeners are going to love it. But why don't we start by having you tell us what specialty areas you do staffing for?
Sure, I'll be glad to. So High Profile Staffing is based in the Dallas area and serves all the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Been in business for 34 years. And we have three main specialty areas. We've got accounting and finance that we recruit for, administrative support that we recruit for, and then also all things human resources. So those are our three specialty areas. We place people in full-time positions, and then we also place people on temporary positions.
Okay, great. I didn't realize that you did full-time and temporary. And in today's market, I can only imagine that you guys are very busy because everyone's hiring.
We are so busy, and Alice, it's busier than we've ever been, but it's also crazier than we've ever been because, as you probably know, in this job market, people are really hard to find.
Yeah.
Everyone wants a remote work opportunity. So that's the first question. Is it remote? Because if it's not remote or it's not flexible, I may not be interested. And then now we've got people that have, because of the COVID situation, maybe have moved to different locations. And so that remote piece is really important. And it's real interesting. We were talking about in a recruiters meeting this morning that we've really never seen it quite like this. So there's a lot going on in the market right now.
I know that every client that I work with has open headcount in pretty much every department, but especially, of course, in sales and marketing and revenue generating positions as well. So I know that candidates are, hard to come by, and then they say yes. I've had a few cases where they say yes and then change their mind because someone gives them a better offer.
We have seen that also. We've talked, they're not just regular counter offers, just a little bit more. These counter offers that we've seen lately are huge. So we've had candidates that have, gone through the whole interview process, very interested in the next opportunity, but they've gone back to their employer, and their employer has not only increased their compensation quite a bit, but now they're giving them promotions.
Yes.
And so they're changing their mind. So it is making it quite interesting and challenging times for everybody in the job search process.
Wow. Yeah. So, gosh, this company's been in business for 34 years, but you've been with the company how long?
Actually, I've been with the company as of yesterday, 34 years.
Oh my God.
I joined the company I didn't start the company. I joined the company in its infancy. I actually moved to Dallas straight from college, came to Dallas, and a friend said, I know a small recruiting company that just started in business. You ought to bring them your resume, see how they can help you. And so I did just that. And they said, you might be a good recruiter. So I sat down with them, and they hired me pretty quickly, and then over the next day or two. And I remember thinking, I'll do this recruiting thing for a year or two, see what it's all about. But here I am, actually celebrated 34 years yesterday because it got in my blood. It's so much fun. It's so fulfilling to help people with their careers and their next moves. And so I never left.
So you grew up in that company and you grew right up into CEO.
It wasn't a straight path, and it wasn't a short path. It took me quite a while, but Yeah, I had the great fortune. Our founder, Jock Stafford, he just had amazing vision for the company. And he was one of those mentors I was so fortunate to have, that he believed in me even before I believed in me. He said, you can do this. You're going to be able to run the company one day. And let's give you these stretch assignments. Let's put you in recruiting. Let's put you in sales. Let's put you over sales and recruiting. And so I had the great fortune of working with him, and then eventually believing it myself that, okay, this could really be an awesome opportunity. And then after several years of working with him, I became a part owner in the business. And then actually back in 2019, just in the fall, I ended up buying the business from him. So that was just a few months before COVID, which was a pretty crazy start to be the sole owner. But it's just been an amazing journey, and really not anything I ever intended to stay in this long, but it really became something that just was so fulfilling that I enjoyed every day, and really just feel like it's a privilege I get to do what I do.
I can tell your passion is really there, and that is exciting. And I think that most CEOs are lucky in that way, that they have started something or become part of something that they're really passionate about. And it is so important when you're running a company, because we all have our moments when we think, why on earth am I doing this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
that was kind of the moment when COVID hit. All of a sudden I thought, in fact, I was telling a friend, she said, now you bought the company just a few months ago, and she laughed when I was telling her the story. And I thought, yeah, I guess it is kind of crazy. Why would somebody, want to buy a company and then, of course, have the year that we had during COVID? But as I tell people, it just was an opportunity to jump right in and get, this business owner experience with, get my wings pretty quickly in it. So
yes, very, very good. I mean, I'm sure it was a crazy time, but now it's all coming back, so it's all good. I know a lot of us did struggle a little bit during COVID, but it's all coming back. So it's wonderful. Well, I think it's so interesting, since you were here from the beginning, even though you weren't the founder of the company. What was sales like when you first started? What was the sales organization like? Who did the selling? And then tell us how it grew, especially when you became the one in charge of sales.
Sure. Well, the founder, Jock Stafford, who was my mentor, he was an amazing sales professional. That was his background. He had worked for Frito-Lay and Procter and Gamble, and so he knew what he was doing in terms of marketing and sales. And when he started the company, he was our salesperson, as most entrepreneurs are when they start their companies. And then after I had a couple of years recruiting experience, he wanted me to take that stretch assignment and move into a sales role. And so he was my number one coach. I still remember back in the day, we would go on client calls, and then we would go back to my car, and he'd say, okay, what went well? What went wrong? What do we need to improve? And we'd kind of dissect, the whole conversation, the entire sales opportunity. And that taught me so much, because it was real-time feedback. It wasn't something like, 2 weeks later we sat down and discussed all the calls. We literally discussed them real time. And that, along with a lot of other professional sales training, really helped me when I was in the position to hire other salespeople, some with experience and some without experience, and to really help groom them in their roles too.
Well, you really learned from a pro how to be a great sales coach, and to help you understand so that you could grow every time, right? And provided the training for you that you needed. So that is terrific. And now you have a sales operation. You've been about 10 years now, right? Running the company. And you've seen that sales operation grow over the years. Where was it when you became the leader of the company, and how have you grown it since?
Well, when I became the leader of the company, I believe we had 2 people in sales, and those people have moved on. And so since then, we've added to our sales team. We have what's unique now is it's not just a obviously in-person sales environment; it's also a virtual sales environment. So a lot of the things that we did for years in person, we also now do virtually. Like we do a lot of educational sessions for our clients on virtually. And of course, during 2020, we did all of it, 100% of it virtually. But what's beautiful now is we have people on our sales team that are also helping us with all the social media and all the marketing initiatives. And we didn't have any of that back when, before all that. So those are tools and assets that really add to the whole sales relationship, to our branding, to the conversations, the opportunity to poll and survey our clients and things that we didn't have before because we didn't have that technology. So I'm really, really proud of what we've got in place. And it was so neat to see our team when we went 100% virtual during COVID, that they just immediately adjusted to utilizing all the tools and resources to connect with our clients in a virtual manner. And I think that a lot of that will continue to stay and be part of our whole portfolio of how we connect with our clients now.
Well, I heard you say that sales and marketing working together, right, is what really happened in the last couple of years, especially during COVID when we had to go virtual. And this is something that a lot of CEOs are looking at right now. Many companies, especially when they get bigger like yours and they get past even, that 50 million, 100 million and towards the 200 million, they still have their departments working in silos. So sales is doing one thing and marketing's doing another. Customer success is doing something different. They're all being measured differently, but it's the customer who's out there looking in at us going like, I don't really care whether it's sales or marketing or customer engagement. I just need what I need. And I want to have the right person to talk to at the right moment in time. So I think a lot of CEOs are now saying, how do we integrate sales and marketing and customer success? And in the case of staffing, talent managers are customer success because they're making sure the customer is getting the product that they purchased, right? Which is great candidates delivered to their door. So it sounds like you got some of that figured out. Tell us how you're integrating all of these roles to really serve your customers better.
Yeah, that's such a good point, Alice, because the customer wants it to be seamless. They don't want to have, your services coming from 15 different directions and different messages. They just want to know, they know what they want, and they want it to be seamless, and they don't really care what happens behind the scenes. They just want a good result and a good outcome. So our thought is that we try to work together as a team as closely as we can, over communicate to everybody, whether you're on the recruiting team or you're on the sales team or even the payroll division, who's the people that are running our payroll. Everyone's in sync and we all know what the end result is and what the goal is for our clients. I think it's if you don't communicate and only one team knows what's going on, the other team doesn't know, you're going to run into a lot of issues. And I'd say I learned the hard way about that. I learned, it's important to over communicate and make sure that everybody is in the loop. That way we won't drop the ball or there won't be any issue on the client side, because you certainly want your clients to be taken care of. So basically for us, I think it just goes back to the basics of communicating often, regularly, and making sure that the whole team is in the loop.
Yeah, I love that. It's so important, but not as easy to do sometimes. We have to have mechanisms in place for the team to communicate. Now, I love that your team is working together. So between sales and marketing and talent managers, about how many people are touching the customer?
I would say everybody on our team is touching the customer in a different way. Because we have recruiting teams and they're very involved in setting up the interview process, negotiating salaries. And then we also have the sales and marketing team. So they're involved in bringing that business in, developing those relationships. They're also involved in, spreading the word about upcoming events or things that we want to make sure that go through our marketing theme. And then I'm certainly involved with customers at a different level too, as well as our payroll people are involved with customers. So really, I feel like everybody in the organization does have a unique touch and connection with our customers.
Yeah, that is so important and so wise to have everyone understanding their role in sales and how what they do and how they touch the customer makes such a big difference. Now, you mentioned that you still have a role in sales. So I know originally you were talent manager, you went into sales, then you were the one starting to hire and coach the salespeople yourself. But today, as CEO, what is the role that you play in sales? And how do you do that, and how does that get communicated when your sales team needs you?
I think my role as CEO is really communicating with the customers that I've known for a long time. I would maybe say that they're loyal customers that we've worked with for decades now, that maybe I worked with them as a recruiter, or I worked with them or brought them in when I was a salesperson. So keeping in touch with them, and they may have gone to a different company, but we've definitely still kept in touch with them and reconnected with them. Those are, it's in our business and in every business, it's all about those long-term relationships. And those relationships are so valuable. They're so important that for me, I don't want I don't want to drop the ball on communication with those people. I want to make sure I'm getting out to lunch with them once a quarter, or at least we're emailing or having a phone conversation or getting, caught up with each other on what's going on, so that it's not only information I'm receiving from the sales team or from the recruiting team, but I'm actually getting it directly from them. And so ideally, that's what I want to do, is I just want to keep in touch with them so I don't lose touch, because it's so important. And some of our customers that we've known for years, they have been the best ambassadors to spread the word for high profile. I mean, they will refer business to us
Yeah.
that just turns out to be amazing because they wanted to make that referral because of the experience they had with high profile. So for me, that's really how I feel like I should utilize my time best, is just keeping in touch with them.
So you really help keep the relationship solid. And I love what you said, that they enjoy working with your company so much that they're telling others, you should work with this company as well. High profile may be right for you. Let me introduce you. And doesn't every salesperson on earth wish that their customers were out there introducing them to new
Yes,
potential
it's the
customers?
best compliment. It is. It's
It
the
is.
best feeling when you get and it's beautiful when you get business that way, that it's just handed to you and referred to you from another customer that was wowed and says, "Oh my gosh, you've got to work with high profile." That's when you, at the end of the day, you just feel like you're doing the right thing.
Oh, absolutely. Now, at your company, when you're bringing on a new customer, the salespeople have been involved in a relationship up to a point, right? How do they know when to bring you in, and how do you communicate with them? This is the right way to position me, and this is when to bring me in with the new customers.
I think it varies from customers based on maybe their size and the relationship and the background and the depth of that relationship. But sometimes it will be as simple as, we're bringing in this new customer. We're just now doing some business with them. We'd love to get them out to lunch. So we want you to get involved in this. Or maybe it was a referral to someone else on the team, and so they connect first, and then they bring me in at a later date. But my goal is to try to meet as many of them as I possibly can. There are some customers, unfortunately, that I haven't been able to meet, but we try to do, even if we have an annual event where we invite our customers
Yeah.
around the holidays to get together, sometimes that's a great time, an opportunity for me to actually get to meet them in person. But it really, I think, depends on the relationship and the timing with that customer and the timing with the salesperson and the recruiting team, when they think it's the best time to get me involved.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well,
They
I
do
think
such
that,
a great job of their relationships that it is, I mean, and sometimes the reason I get involved, now that I'm thinking about it too, is pretty cool, is I get involved because a customer wants me to know how impressed they were with the recruiting team, or how impressed they were with the salesperson, and they'll send me an email or a phone call, and that's always great news to receive.
oh, absolutely. Like, what CEO doesn't want to hear compliments about their team? I mean, that just tells me that, your company really cares, and you're doing a great job for your customers, because you wouldn't be getting those calls otherwise, right?
Thank
So
you.
very, very important. Well, I know that you, like all CEOs, are very busy. You wear many hats. You have to look over the overall health of your company, and you have direct reports that you need to coach and help them grow and help them strategize for their departments. So with all of that going on, how do you prioritize how much time you spend in sales, right? Doing sales, working with customers against everything else that you have to do?
I would love to know the answer from every CEO about that, because that's always a struggle. And I would assume it's a struggle for any leader, is just trying to figure out, looking at your week or forecasting out for the next month or two and trying to prioritize where to spend your time and where it's most effective.
Yeah.
And it's because there's a balance between spending time with your team internally, trying to help and grow them or work through issues or challenges that you've got, as well as externally with customers. So I would honestly say that is always one of those balancing acts where I say, okay, next week I gotta do better in this area. One of the things I learned a long time ago was to do just that. At the end of each week, really evaluate the week. What were the highlights? What were my learning opportunities? And also, what do I need to tweak so I can do a little bit better next week and next month? And just really look back at what was accomplished and say that was awesome, but also make sure you look forward and figure out how you want to tweak things so you can make those improvements.
Oh my gosh, I think that's such great advice for every CEO. And that is something I do as well. But just reflect on your week. What worked, what didn't? Did I have enough time for sales? Not enough time? Too much time? Did I get the other things done that I needed to accomplish? And it is a juggling act. But I'll give you one tip that I give a lot of the CEOs that I work with. I have them make a list of the things that they do, all the things, the big chunks, right? The major things that they do. And then on the other side, I have them make a list of the things that only they can do as CEO. And it's a big eye opener, because I think a lot of times as CEO, we're very busy and we just get it done because we know how to do it. We can do it faster, we can do it better, and we just get it done. But it still takes time. So if you have that list of things only you can do against the list of all the things you do, then you can start to get some of those off your plate by training someone else to do them. Or sometimes, we're actually doing things that we go, gosh, don't I really need to do that? Does anybody really need to do that? So it makes us take a serious look at it. And sometimes we can train someone else to do it. Or sometimes we can hire, someone else to do it. And it's frees up our time to focus on what is most important to the company and the company's growth. So that's just one
I love
that you can try, and let me know how that goes, because I want to.
Thank you. I love that. That's great.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, so here you are, 34 years in. You've been running the company for about 10 years, and you own the company now for 2 really hard years. Well, actually now it's right. So I think that the slowdown in 2020 was hard, but then the speed up in 2021 with hiring. So either way, it makes it more challenging, right?
Yes. The problems we have this year are great problems to have.
Right.
So 2020 problems weren't as great and a lot more difficult to navigate through, but this is presenting challenges as well, because the market has turned around so much. But we're really grateful for it, and it means that we've got hiring opportunities internally, that we've got to hire people and add people to our team, and so we're working on doing that pretty quickly as well, because we want to make sure we can, as best as possible, service our clients and take care of their growth needs.
Right. And if you have a lot of inbound people calling, hey, we want to do a search, right? Salespeople have to change their role a little. They're not outbounding as much and going out and looking for brand new business because it's coming in, and they have to learn how to manage all of that as well.
Yep. Yeah. And I think what happens then, you have to really decide and prioritize what is coming in a little bit differently than you would during a COVID year, because now you've got all this business coming in, and you've got to really decide, okay, which opportunities are going to make the most sense for the job seekers that we're working with, and which ones can we make sure that it's a slam dunk, we know we can take care of it.
Yeah, well, it can be challenging because if you bring on every bit of business that comes in, it's too much and it's not ideal and it's, struggle and harder.
Yep.
So they do have to learn how to very carefully vet each of these opportunities and bring in only the best opportunities where everyone can win.
Yes, and Alice, one of the things I love about our team is there's a lot of tenure on our team. So, for example, we've got one recruiter that's been with us for 25 years. We've got several recruiters that have been with us for over 10 years. So because of that, they are very resourceful and they know a lot of other recruiting firms and people that they can refer business to. And so when you've got some opportunities that just don't make sense for us to fill, they're really great about taking care of the clients and saying, let me introduce you to one of our partners. This person is amazing. They'll roll out the red carpet for you. And so there is that happening also.
I love that too, because a lot of times people don't work well with their competitors. And in this case, you must work well with your competitors because you need them and they need you. And it works best for everyone, for you, for them, and for your customers, most importantly, so that they keep coming back. So I love hearing that you guys have that as just a way that you do business. It's helping the customer get what they need, regardless of whether they can get it from you or someone that you know and trust, which I really do love.
We want them to be taken care of. That's the ultimate goal. And if we would love it if it were us, but if it's not, then we really want to provide an excellent partner that can help them. So.
Yes, very good. So let's think about the future now for a little bit. What are some of the things that you see coming? How is your industry changing? How will your salespeople help the buyer now and in the future to make really good decisions about staffing? I mean, as you mentioned, everybody wants to work from home. I'm sure there'll be another challenge coming. So what's your direction for the future and how will you shape your sales organization to really help your company grow and really interface with the customer in the best way possible?
Alice, I think what you mentioned it is that remote work opportunities, and we really hope that we'll see more of those, and that that they'll be around to stay. So I think for us, it'll be educating our clients on what we're seeing as some of the best practices on how to lead remotely, how to do onboarding remotely, how to set up a new employee in the best sense remotely when you're not seeing them. And maybe you don't ever see them, or maybe you see them, once a month or something like that. So our group is really excited about learning more about virtual leadership, virtual work, and all the nuances of it, because they're totally different than what we've experienced before in the past in person. So I think that we're going to become hopefully more of the go-to for our clients when they're considering this, or maybe they're considering more remote opportunities, or maybe they realize, what, I can get a much higher level candidate. I can find the candidates that I need if I offer that flexibility, and we can help them get there. So I see that it's going to be more educating and hopefully sharing best practices with them from all the companies that we work with.
Oh, I love that. You might even want to think about making some mastermind groups amongst your clients to meet on a regular basis and discuss how it's impacting them, what they've tried, what worked, what didn't work, what they're afraid of. Has anybody else done this already? I don't want to be the first one, or, I'd like to learn from somebody else. I think you could really have a great opportunity there, especially because, like you said, they're going to need so much more education. Maybe there's consulting opportunities in there, or I like this idea of these groups that you put together and they help each other. Plus then you're providing networking opportunities. And since they're all in the Dallas area, they might even end up doing business together. Right.
I love that. And I think we're getting to a point where we can start doing a lot more of that. Yeah. So that's a great point.
Wow. Well, you are certainly an amazing CEO, juggling all of these things. I love that you grew up in this company and now you not only run it, but you own it. And you really understand how sales and marketing and every department has to integrate to help your customers be successful. And I wish you 30 more years of great success, or more, but you'll probably retire before then.
Well, Alice, thank you so much, and thank you for your input. I just great ideas, and I appreciate it so much. And it's always great to connect and have the opportunity to share a little bit about your story. So thank you so much for giving me the opportunity.
Oh, it's just been such a pleasure. And I'll just give Jamie Crosby a shout out because she's the one who introduced us, and she works in the staffing world as well. And she's one of the companies you cooperate with and collaborate with, because they do actually staffing for revenue generating positions specifically. And so I can see how that would be just a really great collaboration for the two of you.
Yes, she's amazing, and Proactivate actually helped us with a lot of our sales training. So she was real instrumental in helping us with the direction that we've gone. So just can't sing her praises enough.
Well, thank you so much, Bronwyn. I just have enjoyed our conversation. I know that our listeners will too. They'll get a lot of ideas, and I will look forward to keeping in touch with you to see how you do throughout the rest of this pandemic, if it ever ends, and beyond. So have a great day.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Alice.
Thanks for tuning in to Sales Talk for CEOs. You can find me at alicehyman.com. Be sure and connect with me on LinkedIn and let me know that you heard the show. If you found value in today's episode, please subscribe, write a review, and share the show with another CEO.